Okay, everybody, welcome to Chapter 3, Part 1. At this point, you have written a long composition, or a relatively long composition, describing yourself and talking about your daily activities. So it's really already impressive what all you can do in Spanish. And with this chapter, we are going to add to your ability to talk about yourself in Spanish by giving you the ability to talk about what classes you take at the university, school being a large part of your life, whether you like it or not. So let's move on to the preguntas personales. Pregunta personal número 1. ¿Cuántas clases tienes? ¿Cuántas is your question word. It means how many. And it ends in AS because it has to agree in gender and in number with las clases. So it's feminine and plural. ¿Cuántas clases tienes? How many classes do you have? How would you answer that? You want to say I have, so you would say tengo, and then a number of clases. So you might say tengo tres clases. Remember to write these down because the preguntas personales are always the first part of your test. Pregunta personal número 2. ¿Qué clases tienes? Almost the same as the last one, but your question word has changed. ¿Qué means what? So what classes do you have? Tengo, and then you'll list some classes. I want you to list 3 classes, whether you've really got 3 classes or not. If you've only got 1 class, you'll just have to lie and name some classes that you took last semester or some that you plan on taking next semester. If you've got more than 3, you're welcome to name more than 3, but you have to name at least 3. So I might say something like Tengo Español, Filosofía, y Matemáticas. God forbid that I should have Matemáticas. Talk about a class I'd fail. Número 3. Pregunta personal número 3. ¿Cuál es tu clase favorita? ¿Cuál es tu clase favorita? Okay, ¿cuál is another one of your question words. It means which. So which is your. Tu without an accent means your instead of you. Clase favorita, favorite class. Favorita comes after the noun because adjectives always come after the noun that they are describing. And favorita is feminine because clase is feminine. So how would you answer that? You would say, mi clase favorita es whatever. My favorite class is whatever. So you might say, mi clase favorita es matemáticas. Not what I would say. Can't add 2 and 2. Próximo. ¿Cómo es tu horario? ¿Cómo es tu horario? ¿Cómo is another one of your question words. It means how. So how is your horario? You might be able to guess this. It is one of your vocab words. You might be able to guess it. Hora means hours, or hour if it's hora. Horario means schedule, your hourly, your schedule. So how is your schedule? So how are you going to answer that? Mi horario es, and then you can describe it. Excuse me. You might say, mi horario es fácil. My schedule's easy. Mi horario es difícil. My schedule's difficult. Mi horario es exigente. My schedule is demanding. One of your vocabulary words from this semester or from this chapter. Or you might say, mi horario es perezoso. Lazy. Any adjective that works to describe it. Okay, and your last pregunta personal for this chapter comes from the need for you to practice your numbers a little bit. That last word you're not going to know. I'll help you with it. But, ¿en qué año naciste? En qué año you can guess. En, in, qué, what. Año has been a vocabulary word, year. So in what year Were you born? Naciste is from nacer, N-A-C-E-R, which means to be born. And that is the past tense. The iste on the end is the past tense, which you'll learn next semester if you take more Spanish. So, ¿en qué año naciste? In what year were you born? This is, since you don't know the past tense yet, this is the only question, pregunta personal, that you'll ever be able to answer without using a complete sentence. You can just say in, and your year, but you've got to write it all the way out. So, for example, my answer would be en 1966. Okay, so you've got to write all the words out. 1000, 900, 900, 60, 60, y 6. So that's how they say the year in Spanish. They don't say 1966 or 2001. They say 1985 or 2016. So today's year would be 2016. Okay, so you're going to write out in words your birth year. You can lie if you want to. I wouldn't blame you. So those are your preguntas personales for this chapter. For part of your participation points for this recording, I want you to write out the questions and your answers and turn them in with your participation points. Okay, let's go on to the vocabulary topic for this chapter. The main vocabulary topic for the first part of the chapter are las materias or las clases. Materias means materials. It's another word that they use for classes, especially university classes, as opposed to like younger kid classes. Las clases can refer to the actual event of attending a class, but materias is generally the word they use to describe the names of college classes. So you've got all of those in your book. I recommend that you go ahead and open your book up to the page with all the classroom name or class type vocabulary in it. And I am going to say a phrase, and you guys are going to tell me whether it's true or false. Once again, the purpose of this activity is to get you hearing me using these words in Spanish, getting you, first of all, to just hear them and recognize them. So that's why you've only got to do true or false. And if you don't know the vocabulary yet, that's why your book is open, so you can look over there to look up the vocabulary that I'm using. And then as our activities progress through the recording, then you go from just hearing and recognizing the vocabulary to producing it yourself. Normally in a way that I am going to present it on the test. So it's a good idea to participate in these as much as you can. Close your door and play along with the activities. Answer everything out loud. So here we go. Actividades con las materias. Para empezar, yo voy a decir una frase y ustedes van a decirme si la frase es cierto o falso. Número 1. ¿Cierto o falso? En la clase de administración de empresas, aprendo manejar. Okay, all of these sentences are going to take this format. I'm going to say, in such and such class, I do something. Now, this one is a little tougher because at the end, I've used two words that you don't really use, or that you don't really know yet. So I'll help you with this one as an example, and the rest of them will be easier as we move forward. So, en la clase de administración de empresas, you look over to your empresas, should be S-A-S on the end. It's impossible for me to make something typo-free, apparently. You look over to your book and you see that Administración de Empresas is your business administration class. And so then you say, in that class, do I what? Aprender means to learn. So aprendo, that's the yo form, I learn. And then manejar means to manage. So, en la clase de administración de empresas, aprendo manejar. In business administration class, I learn to manage. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Okay, continuamos. Let's continue. Continuamos. Número 2. En la clase de arquitectura, aprendo diseñar. En la clase de arquitectura, aprendo diseñar. Now, that one's another one that's asking you to stretch yourself just a little bit. En la clase de arquitectura, that one's easy, in architecture class. I learn. Now, you've never seen the verb diseñar, but you have as one of your vocabulary words, diseño, which is a noun which means design. So if diseño means design, the verb diseñar means to design. So, en la clase de arquitectura, aprendo a diseñar. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Número 3. En la clase de arte, estudio Picasso. En la clase de arte, estudio Picasso. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Número 4. En la clase de biología, estudio novelas. En la clase de biología, estudio novelas. ¿Cierto o falso? Falso. Próximo. En la clase de matemáticas, estudio números. En la clase de matemáticas, estudio números. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de ciencias políticas, estudio relaciones internacionales. En la clase de ciencias políticas, estudio relaciones internacionales. What do you think relaciones internacionales is? It's a cognate. You can read more Spanish than you thought, can't you? International relations. So political science, international relations, cierto. Próximo. En la clase de comunicaciones, estudio animales. En la clase de comunicaciones, estudio animales. ¿Cierto o falso? Falso. Próximo. En la clase de derecho, estudio justicia. En la clase de derecho, estudio justicia. ¿Cierto o falso? Justicia, justice, derecho, law, cierto. Continuamos. En la clase de educación física, practicamos deportes. En la clase de educación física, practicamos deportes. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de finanzas, aprendo manejar dinero. Remember, we said aprender means to learn and manejar means to manage. Dinero is one of your vocabulary words for this chapter. Dinero is money. So, en la clase de finanzas, aprendo manejar dinero. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de física, la ciencia de física, tenemos un laboratorio. En la clase de física, tenemos un laboratorio. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. It would be logical to have lab in your physics class. Próximo. En la clase de geografía, estudio literatura. En la clase de geografía, estudio literatura. ¿Cierto o falso? Falso. Estudio mapas. Próximo. En la clase de historia, estudio George Washington. En la clase de historia, estudio George Washington. Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de informática, estudio computadoras. En la clase de informática, estudio computadoras. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de pedagogía, aprendo a enseñar. Now that draws on last time's vocabulary, last chapter's vocabulary. En la clase de pedagogía, aprendo a enseñar. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Próximo. En la clase de geometría, estudio triángulos. En la clase de geometría, estudio triángulos. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Ok, más actividades con las materias. Ahora yo voy a decir una palabra y ustedes van a decirme la clase asociada. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to decir una palabra, say a word. Palabra means word. And what are you guys going to do? Decirme la clase asociada. You're going to tell me the associated class. So this time, you have to produce the word for the class in Spanish. Say them out loud, no matter how silly it makes you feel to do it. It's good for you. Just like broccoli. Okay, empezamos. ¿Qué clase asociamos con el dinero? Another one of our vocabulary words from this chapter. Remember, it means money. ¿Qué clase asociamos con el dinero? You can say lots of classes. Contabilidad, accounting. Economía, economy. Finanzas, finances. And maybe you said something other than that. As long as it makes sense, great. Número 2. ¿Qué clase asociamos con los animales? ¿Qué clase asociamos con los animales? Give you a minute to look in your book. At least 2 classes I can think of. Biología y veterinaria. Número 3. ¿Qué clase asociamos con los números? ¿Qué clase asociamos con los números? In these pauses, if you're not saying it out loud, which you should be, at the very least be writing it down. Actively work with this vocabulary. It'll help you remember it. ¿Qué clase asociamos con los números? There are several. Matemáticas, math in general. Cálculo, calculus. Estadística, statistics. Por ejemplo. Número 4. ¿Qué clase asociamos con computadoras? ¿Qué clase asociamos con computadoras? Informática. Número 5. ¿Qué clase asociamos con drogas? Now that is a cognate that you have to guess. Drogas. What could drogas be? Drugs. Legal drugs. ¿Qué clase asociamos con drogas? Medicina. Número 6. ¿Qué clase asociamos con un laboratorio? ¿En qué clase tenemos un laboratorio como parte de la clase? Could be lots of things. Química, por ejemplo. You could say biología if you didn't say it before. Or you could just say ciencias, sciences in general. Okay, próximo. ¿Qué clase asociamos con los mapas? Now, why did I say los mapas since mapas ends in as? Because remember, it's one of those masculine mapata words. So, ¿qué clase asociamos con los mapas? Geografía. Okay, más actividades con las materias. Now you guys are going to have a picture, and you guys have to tell me what class is being pictured. Now, it's really hard, I'm not going to lie to you, to get pictures of classes. So if you don't say the exact same class that I say as we go through this, as long as the one that you said makes sense, that's good enough. And on the test, as long as you put one that makes sense, that's fine, but you'll only get to use each class once. So every time you see a picture of money, you can't put finanzas there. You'll only get credit for that once. So let's play around with these a little bit. Número uno, ¿qué clase es? For that one, I put Administración de Empresas. ¿Qué clase es? What class would you have to draw pictures of buildings in? ¿Qué clase es? I prefer that you answer this out loud, but at the very least, write it down. And what would you write down for this one? Arquitectura. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? They're drawing and painting. ¿Qué clase es? This one's easy. Arte. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class would they have anatomical models and a little skeleton and microscopes and stuff like that? Doesn't it look like that skeleton is hanging? It's awful. But this is the best picture I could find. How scary is that? ¿Qué clase es? Biología. And that biología should have an accent on it. Sorry. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? They're sitting there talking. They're trying to talk to each other. Comunicaciones. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? For the spreadsheet there, for that one, I put contabilidad, accounting. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? Derecho, with the scales of justice there, the judge's hammer, whatever you call that thing. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? La clase en que hablamos de inflación y deflación es economía. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? This one's easy. Little kids are practican deportes. Educación física. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? With the graphs, the numbers. Estadística. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? With the money. For that one, I put finanzas. Remember, like I said, it doesn't matter whether you say exactly what I say, as long as it makes sense with the picture and you only use each one once. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class are we going to associate with Albert Einstein and E equals mc squared? ¿Qué clase es? Física, physics. Albert Einstein was a physicist. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class are the little kids studying the map? Geografía. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class would they be studying rocks and volcanic activity and plutonic activity and stuff like that? Geología. Geología, geology. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class would the teacher have all kinds of shapes and triangles and all that? Geometría. Geometría, geometry. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? What class are they in there with all the computers, learning how to do computer stuff? Informática. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? With the numbers. Matemáticas. Technically, that's probably álgebra, but I'm not sure if that's in your book, so matemáticas. Próximo. ¿Qué clase es? With the chemicals and the test tubes and stuff. Química. Okay, so stopping right here with las actividades con las materias. That is the last little picture. let's insert here a participation points activity. What I would like for you guys to do is to go back through what I have done with these pictures and write for me at least 7 sentences in which you say something like, en la clase de, in the class of whatever. So like, for example, en la clase de química. And then you're going to say, tengo laboratorio. I have a laboratory. Or en la clase de geología, estudio mapas. Or en la clase de finanzas, estudio dinero. So in other words, you're going to say, in such and such class, I do such and such, or I have such and such, or I study such and such. And I want you to write me at least 7 different classes out like that for the participation points for this chapter with the materias, with the classes. Okay, so from there, let's move on to the second vocabulary topic in the first part of the chapter, and that is expresiones con tener. All those things like tengo frío, tengo hambre, tengo calor, the idiomatic tener expressions. So we're going to play with those for a little while. So, número 1, o para empezar. Yo voy a decir una frase y ustedes van a decirme si la frase es lógica o no lógica. Número 1. En el verano tengo calor. En el verano tengo calor. Now, you've got to remember back to chapter 1, what season is verano? Verano is summer, so tengo calor, lógica. Número 2. En el invierno tengo frío. En el invierno tengo frío. Again, you've got to remember back to chapter 1, what season is invierno? Winter. So, tengo frío, lógica. Número 3. Necesito comer. Tengo sed. Necesito comer. Tengo sed. Necesito, you can guess, is from the verb necesitar, which means to need. So necesito is I need. And comer, you've got to remember back to last chapter, comer meant to eat. So, necesito comer, tengo sed, lógica, no lógica. I wouldn't be thirsty if I needed to eat, I'd be hungry. Número 4. Necesito beber, tengo hambre. Necesito beber, tengo hambre. Now, beber is to drink, so I'm hungry, no lógica. Número 5. Son las 11 de la noche. Tengo sueño. Son las 11 de la noche. Tengo sueño. Have to remember back to that telling time. Is it logical that I am tired at 11 o'clock at night? Lógica. Número 6. Miro una película de horror. Tengo miedo. Miro una película de horror. Tengo miedo. Now, you don't know what a película is, but miro is I watch and something about horror. So what do you think película de horror means? Película is movie, so a horror movie. Is it logical that I'm scared when I'm watching a horror movie? Lógica. Okay, próximo. This is how I will test you on this. I will give you one of the pictures from the book, and you are going to have to, and I'll also give you a subject pronoun. You'll have to identify what is going on in the picture and conjugate the verb tener to go along with it. But for right now, let's just look at what's happening. ¿Qué pasa? This person is hot. So what's the infinitive for to be hot? Tener calor. Tener calor. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? Say it out loud, or at the very least, write it down. Look in the book if you have to. It's okay, you don't have to have these memorized yet, but participate actively. ¿Qué pasa? Tener cuidado. He's trying not to fall down and break his leg. Próximo, número 3. ¿Qué pasa? Tener frío. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? She's dreaming about that hamburger. Tener hambre. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? Be pretty scared if a snake was standing as tall as me, too. Tener miedo. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? She missed that bus. She's in a hurry. Tener prisa. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? Little girl got her math problem right. Tener razón should have an accent on it. Tener razón, to be right. Próximo. She's dreaming about that jug of water there. She's thirsty. Tener sed. Próximo. ¿Qué pasa? He's yawning. Tener sueño. Okay. Last set of things that we are going to practice with are the numbers for this chapter. I am going to say a number. Yo voy a decir un número. Y ustedes van a escribirlo. You guys are going to write it down. So I am going to dictate a number, and you, in Spanish, obviously, and you guys can just write down the digits like we would write them with just numbers. You don't have to write out the words. Okay? I'll say each one twice. Write these down. Número 1. 1275. 1275. Write it down with numbers, not words. Número 2. 1492. 1492. Okay. Número 3. 1520. 1520. Número 4. 1776. 1776. Número 5. 1985. 1985. Y finalmente, número 6. This will be the last one. 45,200. 45,200. 200. Okay. For your second part of your participation points for this recorded lesson, I want you to turn in the numbers that I just said. You can just write them out in numbers. You don't have to write out the words. And if you have to listen again because you weren't playing along, shame on you. That'll teach you not to play along. I will talk to you guys next week.